My name is Sohial Farzam.
And I'm Hamish Reed. Our question today comes from Tracy, and Tracy's asking us, can you guys please expand on gallbladder 41 and its role of being the master point for dynamite? It's a great question.
Yeah, look, it's also a big topic because the 8 extraordinary channels is something that we'll be talking about in future episodes individually, but let's go ahead and start with this one. So gallbladder 41 is the master point. So first we've got to understand the dynamite. So just quickly get into the dynamite. Dynamite is basically, obviously it's the belt girdle, so it's the lower abdomen. The energy moves inwards. So why this is relevant is because if it's moving inwards, imagine, like an analogy is, imagine like a bucket, right? And as life's experiences move through you, and as you move through life and you have experiences around you, the dynamite has a strong relevance to holding on to things that you aren't able to sort of deal with at that time. So for example, it goes from Chong Mai, then Ren and Du Mai, then Yin and Yang Wai, and then Yin and Yang Chai, and then into the Dai Mai. So the Dai Mai is like a collector. It's like a collector of your emotional stuff. Now it's the emotions that's relevant to you not being able to deal with them. So for example, trauma, so like constant emotional trauma, or you know, things that you might have felt that's caused you a lot of resentment or anger. But in particular, the Dharma is fantastic at early childhood emotions, especially when it comes to things like rape or sexual conflict with other people and all this kind of stuff. So that's what generally the Dharma does, along with many other things. But just in terms of the first thing I want to talk about is when you're tapping into the gallbladder 41 as the master point. The reason why I mentioned all this is because what you're going to be doing is you're going to help someone release these emotions. And they may not actually be ready to do so, right? Now, it's one thing to help guide them with these emotional releases, but it's another thing also to be able to handle the kind of emotions that come out as well, which means obviously we have to do different kind of treatment protocols using different points, maybe different extraordinary channels. But that's one thing I wanted to bring up first, because as soon as you tap into the Dai Mai, apart from all the positive things it can do, I mean, letting go of emotional stuff is also a really positive thing, but also, are they in a position to do so? And if they are you able to sort of help them, guide them with the transformation that comes with letting go of these emotions? So that's the first thing I really want to point out to you, because it's really important, because that's the first thing you're going to sort of activate.
Yeah, and Tracy, like Sohial said, I mean, releasing emotions is what this point's fantastic for. It's called Zulian Qi, which is translated as foot governor of tears, or as I like to call it in some texts translated, foot verge of tears. And that's a better explanation. Now, as you know, gallbladder 41 is located between the 4th and 5th metatarsal, just distal to the junction of those two bones, and the foot governor of tears. Now, we know that tears are the liquid of the liver, so it's the liver yin generally that controls tearing, and gallbladder 41 being that foot governor of tears is really able to, we say, to promote or halt lacrimation or tearing. So in cases where you're tearing too much, or your patient's tearing too much, we can reduce gallbladder 41 and that will dry the eyes. If your patient has liver yang rising or gallbladder fire and the eyes are red and dry, or yin deficiency, then we can tonify this point and it will promote tearing and moisten and brighten the eyes. There's a number of gallbladder points that actually have the function of brightening the eyes. But like Sohial said, foot verge of tears is a really good explanation, because it can also promote or halt an emotional release through crying. So you know, there's a very strong wood element function here, and especially the Dai, which starts at liver 13, goes through gallbladder 26, 27, 28. So we can cry from an emotional cause, but remember those kind of people that go, I'm so angry, or I'm so frustrated, I could just cry. This is what this point's really good for, like Sohial said, to promote an emotional release through crying.
Yeah, and at that point, when people feel that all this sort of accumulation of all this, you know, anger and resentment, which is sort of the two particular sort of toxic emotions that people hold on to, this particular point can actually activate the tears. And like Hamish said, tears being the liquid of the heart, in ancient texts, some sort of texts also mentioned that tears are is the liquid, but also the component of blood of the heart. So when you're tearing is basically, I mean, it's just water, so you're cleansing out your heart as well. So there's an association to, like Hamish said, with the wood element, with, you know, the liver and gallbladder actual channel connection points, but also it has an association as the heart being the emperor of all the emotions. So for us to feel an emotion, it's one thing to say that a particular organ has an association to a particular emotion, but really for you to be able to feel that, it needs to tap into the heart as the emperor to allow you to feel and associate that kind of emotion. Yeah. So it's a really powerful point to do the emotional release, but it's also, you know, there's a lot more functions involved rather than just the emotional stuff, which we'll be talking a lot when it comes to the Dynamite episode we'll be doing on it on its own.
Yeah, true. If I could just put my musculoskeletal spin on this point, which I always like to do. Now, Gallbladder 41, obviously, Tracy, we're using it as the master point of the Dynamite. And a lot of practitioners still tend to believe, because the Dynamite's a circle, that the chi and the energy goes round and round and round. As Sohial mentioned, it goes inward. So it's got what we call an inward pulling muscular compression. So when the chi and the Dynamite is healthy, the chi will move inwards, and that'll keep the abdomen taut and the lower back strong. When the chi and the Dynamite is rebellious or deficient, it'll start moving outwards. That's when we get that hot belly or beer belly or weak lower back, and we get that dampness, because the word die, or the word Dynamite comes from a more ancient word Dacha, which means to bear downwards. So we get that dampness kind of thing. So Gallbladder 41, to me, from a muscular point of view, is like the equivalent Pilates or yoga of strengthening your core. So by activating Gallbladder 41 and making the chi move inwards, the core will be strong. We've got 4 layers of abdominal muscles, the rectus abdominis, internal and external oblique, and the transverse abdominis. So they can all really be strengthened by using this point. One more thing, don't forget, if you're using this as a master point, use it on the side that chi rises. So in a female, that's going to be on the right hand side. In a male, that's going to be on the left hand side.